For almost 100 years, there's been this one book that gets passed around by successful people almost like it's a secret handshake. That book? Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. So today, we're going to crack it open, unlock its core philosophy, and break down the very principles that have reportedly made more millionaires than any other book out there. Okay, this single quote, this is basically the entire book in a nutshell. What Hill is saying here is pretty radical. It's that your bank account, your career, your whole reality, it's not really about your background or your luck. Nope. He claims it's a direct result of the thoughts you choose to entertain. This one idea is the foundation for everything else we're about to cover. So, where did this crazy idea even come from? Well, the book's origin story is just as fascinating as its content. It all started with a challenge. The industrial titan Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, basically gave a young Napoleon Hill an assignment. Go spend the next 20 years studying the world's most successful people and figure out their secret. Distill it into a formula that anyone, and I mean anyone, could follow. And Hill actually did it. For the next 2 decades, he didn't just study success from afar. He got up close and personal with it. He got access to over 500 of the heaviest hitters of the time. We're talking people like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, even a few US presidents. His one and only goal was to find that common thread, the one thing that connected all of their massive achievements. So what was the big secret he uncovered after all that work? It boils down to this simple but incredibly deep idea. Thoughts are things. What he realized was that every great fortune, every invention that changed the world, it didn't start with a pile of cash or the right connections. It started as nothing more than an idea, a thought, floating around in someone's head. That idea was then mixed with a clear purpose and a whole lot of persistence until it literally became a physical reality. All right, so how do we actually put this philosophy to work? Well, it all starts with the first word in the title, think. Hill's whole argument is that before you can accomplish anything out there in the real world, you first have to win the battle that's happening right here, inside your own mind. And the absolute starting point for all of it is desire. Now, Hill is super clear about this. This is not some casual wish, like, oh, I hope I get rich someday. No way. He's talking about a white-hot, all-consuming, burning obsession for something very, very definite. As he puts it, a weak desire is only going to get you weak results, just like a tiny little fire isn't going to give off much heat. And this is where things get really practical. See, Hill doesn't just tell you to want it really bad. He gives you a very precise 6-step formula to take that vague wish and turn it into a concrete goal. Just look at these steps. It's all about making your desire definite, tangible, and totally measurable. This is the action plan. But just having a written goal isn't quite enough. You have to truly believe you can do it. And Hill's tool for building that belief is something he calls auto-suggestion. Think of it like the control panel for your subconscious mind. By repeating that written statement to yourself over and over, you're not just hoping it comes true. You're literally programming your subconscious to accept your goal as a fact, as something that is absolutely going to happen. Okay, so once that internal mindset is locked in, it's time to actually do something in the physical world. Let's get into the second half of the philosophy, the practical, real-world steps you need to take to actually execute your plan and grow rich. If that burning desire is the fuel, then organized planning is the engine that actually gets you moving. This is where your idea starts to take real shape. And Hill is absolutely firm on this point. You cannot and should not try to create a perfect plan all by yourself. You've got to use the brains, the experience, and the knowledge of other people to spot the flaws in your plan before they have a chance to trip you up. But you know what? Even the absolute best plan is going to hit a wall eventually. And that brings us to what Hill says is one of the biggest reasons people fail. They just quit. They quit at the very first sign of trouble, the first taste of what he calls temporary defeat. This is where persistence has to become your best friend. And there's a story in the book that illustrates this perfectly. It's about a guy named R.U. Darby. He was a gold prospector who got discouraged and sold all his equipment for next to nothing. Well, the man who bought it was smart. He hired an engineer who told him to drill just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped. And boom, they struck one of the richest gold mines in Colorado. Darby never forgot that lesson. This famous line says it all, doesn't it? It's the mantra you need when you feel like giving up. Hill saw over and over again that failure wasn't some unavoidable fate. It was a choice. And so many people make that choice right when success is just around the corner. Persistence? That's the antidote. Okay, so you've got the mindset down, you've got the action plan. Now, let's talk about the concepts that act like catalysts, the real force multipliers that can take your personal efforts and just amplify them like crazy. This next one is maybe Hill's most famous idea, the mastermind. He argued that when two or more people get together and work in perfect harmony toward a single goal, something amazing happens. A third, invisible and way more powerful mind is created. This collective brain can solve problems that would be absolutely impossible for any one person to tackle alone. Your subconscious mind is another one of these incredible force multipliers. Hill describes it like a fertile garden. If you deliberately go in and plant seeds of your desire, of your purpose, of your faith, your subconscious will work day and night to make them grow. But here's the catch. If you neglect that garden, the weeds of fear and doubt will just take over all by themselves. And that brings us to the final part of the journey. And honestly, it might be the toughest. Before you can truly achieve anything great, you have to face and conquer the internal enemies that are holding you back. He'll believe that every single one of us is held back in some way by a handful of basic fears. He called them ghosts that haunt our subconscious mind, paralyzing us and sabotaging our best-laid plans. And he says you have to understand them before you can master them. He laid out these 6 basic fears that mess with almost everybody. The fear of poverty, of criticism, of ill health, of losing love, of old age, and of death. But here's the crucial insight. Fear is just a state of mind. It's a thought. It has no real power on its own. And since you, and only you, control your thoughts, you have the power to starve those fears and feed your faith instead. And this all leads to the book's incredibly empowering conclusion. Hill reminds us that we have the ultimate power, the power to control our own thoughts. And if our thoughts really do create our reality, then that means we are the masters of our own destiny. So the real question at the end of the day isn't about whether you can achieve your dreams. The real question is, what are your orders?